Life sometimes come at you fast. Tragedies make your life unravel. You feel like you wanna give up and stay knocked down. Even when your heart is shattered, you still got a life to live. You still got a life to live, so don't give up. We are beautiful miracles. We are beautiful miracles. We are beautiful miracles, so don't give up.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me again on my podcast, Beautiful Tragedy. And as always, if you like what you're hearing, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And actually, I have a funny little story to tell you. I'm not sure if you've noticed in the first couple episodes when I was asking everyone to subscribe, I actually had a little slip of the tongue and asked people to describe. And there's actually a story behind that. When Jackson was about 4, he really liked Ryan's toy review, and he wanted to be a YouTuber. And so he made little videos talking about toys, and in his videos, he asked people to please describe to the video. And I caught myself saying that a couple times. And so I just thought it was kind of a cute little story. And so if you like my podcast, please describe. I wanted to talk with you a little bit and share with you about our foundation that's called Love Like Jackson and how it came to be. And this foundation has really become my heart's work. It was born after the loss of Jackson, and we were just shattered. And our younger son, Ivan, was experiencing debilitating anxiety, and we really had no idea how to help him. Really, our journey started kind of doing charity work the day after Jackson died. Our pastor from our church traveled from Oklahoma City the day after Jackson died and sat with us in our kitchen and talked with us about his experience with other parents who've lost children. And he said he generally sees people go one of two ways. They get angry and they get bitter and they shut down, or they find ways to honor their children and they learn how to have grief and joy at the same time. And as soon as he said those words, I knew that was what my path was going to be. And I stood up at Jackson's service and I said that I will do anything I can to continue his legacy and share his story. And the podcast has been absolutely one way for me to do that. And another way that we've done that is through the foundation that we named Love Like Jackson. And what we do is we fund art, music, and play therapy for children whose siblings have died. There are very few resources available that are specifically for grieving siblings. And I may have mentioned this before in another episode, but siblings are called the forgotten grievers. And a lot of attention really kind of goes towards the parents. And I think there's also the idea that children are very resilient and they can get through these kind of things. And, maybe some children can, but in our case, Ivan really needed help and I also needed help. I didn't know how to do it. And so Ivan started play therapy 2 months after Jackson died. And she was able to really help him through some very scary situations for him. He had anxiety, and in his mind, his brother was there and then he was gone. And so he started realizing that could also happen to me and his dad. And that was very upsetting to him. And I couldn't find the right words to reassure him that we were going to, I couldn't promise him that we were going to be okay because I don't know that, but just to give him enough security to realize that we were going to come back and we were going to try to help him any way that we could. And that this foundation has just really been so good for my heart because I know that the people that we can help, it really makes a huge difference. And another thing that happened right after Jackson died was that the backpack that I ordered him for school was delivered 2 weeks after he died. And it shot me in the already broken heart. And I really didn't want to stare at that empty backpack. So I tried to give it away. Nobody wanted it. And so I decided, well, maybe I'll just fill it up with supplies and take it up to his school. Well, at the time, my friend saw how much I was struggling and wanted to do something to help. And so she ended up putting together a school supply drive, and our community really rallied around us, and we collected 125 backpacks. 25 of them were filled to the brim with supplies, and we delivered them to a school in the city, Live for Life Academy, and that was 5 weeks after Jackson died. And it was very difficult. I was very, very, very sad, and it was hard to think about doing something in his memory. But it also healed a little part of my heart, being able to do something to help others. That's kind of what I've learned early on, was that sometimes I have to get out of my own head, and helping others is a way that I've chosen to do that. And it's really been such a heartwarming thing. And I've truly seen the beauty of humanity and generosity and thoughtfulness that has just really reminded me that there can be beauty from a tragedy. I also had previously been involved with St. Baldrick's, which is the largest private funder of childhood cancer research. And I shaved my head for the first time in 2015 because I couldn't imagine having a child with cancer. And I shaved my head 3 times. And then Jackson shaved his head 4 months before he died. And to say that was devastating to have cancer take him, that doesn't really even begin to describe it. But 3 months after Jackson died, I woke up and felt with conviction that I needed to have an event in his memory. I really felt like I needed to educate our community about childhood cancer and how underfunded and under-researched it is. And also it very much affected our community and school district. Jackson's death was the first death in 25 years. And so it was a big, big deal. And so with my scatterbrained mind, my cousin and I worked to plan our first annual Team Jackson St. Baldrick's event. And our goal was to raise $10,000 to establish what's called a hero fund. And that means that we got to say specifically where the research funds went. And we chose to research osteosarcoma, which is the type of cancer Jackson had. And on the list of under-researched cancers, it's very, very low on the list. It is not one that gets researched very often. So the thought of raising $10,000 really kind of seemed impossible. I don't think we even thought we could do it. And then within a month or 2 months, we had raised $10,000, and then it went up to $25,000, and then $35,000, and then $50,000. And the day of the event, February 20th, 2020, we had 73 people shave their head, and we raised $79,000. And I was just as shocked as anyone else. I couldn't believe it. But people really rallied around us, and it was a really very profound and emotional day for me, because that day I got to share Jackson's story. And people who didn't know anything about childhood cancer before then, they learned something. They learned some hard statistics that they're difficult to hear. Another thing that Jackson's school did after he died was they placed a buddy bench on the playground. And they did that because Jackson was always such a good friend to everyone. And that meant so much to us. That was such a beautiful legacy to be left. At the time, Jackson was in he finished first grade, and all of his classmates went on to second grade. And the school that Jackson went to only goes up to second grade. And so I was sad thinking that all the kids would move on to the next school and they wouldn't have a buddy bench. So I put a fundraiser out, and I wanted to raise $800 to place another buddy bench at the next school. And within 3 hours, we raised $800. And so then I bumped up the total. And then within, I think, 8 hours, we had raised $1,600, enough to place 2 more buddy benches. And so we placed a buddy bench at the intermediate center where all of Jackson's classmates are. And then we placed one at his cousin's school. And then we had enough to place another buddy bench at another elementary school. And we are getting ready to deliver another one now, as well as we just raised enough money to place another buddy bench. So there will be 6 Love Like Jackson buddy benches. And I can't think of a better legacy that I would want to be left for my son, and was that he was a great friend to everyone. And, you know, knowing that there's kids who may not have somebody to play with, who can go sit on that bench, and then somebody will come play with them, or maybe a child will have a chance to tell their story about Jackson. And so that's one part of Love Like Jackson that we are very proud of. And actually, I started the foundation during the pandemic. So it's been a little difficult to kind of really get things off the ground. But we did have an online fundraiser. And what we did was we asked everyone to donate $8 and share it with 7 people. And the reason was because Jackson would have been 8 at that time, and he was 7 when he died. So each year we're going to do a birthday fundraiser. So we did one last year where it was 9. We asked people to donate $9 and share it with 7 people. And that was actually a very effective way for us to fundraise. It gave people the ability who maybe couldn't donate large amounts, to really make an impact. And because lots of small donations really did make a difference. We raised $8,000 in our online fundraiser. And so with the funds, we pay for art, music, and play therapy for for children whose siblings have died. And each session averages about $100 a session, and we fund 12 sessions for each child. So, it is a very costly, it's very costly what we fund, but it is just such an investment in a child's mental health. And I don't know, at times it feels like we can be somewhat dismissive of children's mental health. And it's very important to me to shine the light on that and help these children during a time where their life was devastated. And through my process, I've really met a lot of very interesting, wonderful people who are a part of what we're doing here. And I specifically sought out therapists who work with children, and then even more specifically worked with grieving children. That's kind of a niche, group of therapists, but it was very important to me. And we've been very happy to have found that here in our area. And my hopes and dreams are to share this model of the foundation all across the country, because I know that there's a need for that in other areas as well. So really, I just wanted to share a little bit about the things that we have done in Jackson's honor. And all of it is an attempt for me to make it hurt less. And it all works temporarily. But the truth of the matter is it's been a part of my process and part of my therapy. And it's not the path that everybody chooses, and that's okay. But it is my heart's work, and I'm very proud of it. And I will be sharing the links so that if you want to learn more about what we do, I would love to share that with you. So that's all I really have for today. So I have to go with how I've been ending every episode, because I do believe this to be true, that we are all just walking each other home. And I just want to do anything I can to help and maybe point someone in a direction if this seems like something that they might want to do. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening.